AD News. AD News. Welcome to the live stream. We're in San Diego at the headquarters of the San Diego PD, and there's supposed to be a rally or a protest, I think it was called. I do not see anybody protesting, but we are here to see if somebody will protest, and if they do, we'll see it. So far, I don't see a protest. So at this point, we'll call it an audit then, huh? Well, for the YouTube eyes, I have a video that I can show you that'll describe the reason for a couple of different groups calling for protests here at the police station. Surprise, surprise, they racially profile people. Surprise, surprise, they're heavy-handed with black people. I know all that's a surprise. But here's a video to kind of show you more of that surprise.
His cousin, who is on parole, is the man who sold handguns, but neither were charged with anything. Weeks later, Hoskins says police stopped him for a taped-up taillight. He says officers asked to search his car, but he said no, and they let him go.
Okay, I'm recording.
This past March, San Diego police stopped Hoskins a third time. The officer told him his window tint was too dark, though didn't write him up a ticket. Instead, the officer asked him about where he lived, if he had a job, his plans for the rest of the day, his phone number, social security number, and pointed out a speaker looked expensive.
You got one of those JBL? This thing's like a few $100, isn't it? The big ones?
But it's what happened during this traffic stop just last month that drove Hoskins to speak out.
Where are you coming from? I just came from the park. I'm about to go pick my son up from school.
This time, the officer said he didn't come to a full stop at a stop sign.
All right, go ahead and undo your seatbelt for me. I'm gonna have you get out. Just make sure there's no weapons. I'm not about to get out the car. I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. Okay? You're gonna take your seatbelt off. You're gonna put your wallet in the center console. You guys are gonna have my ID back, and you guys can call your supervisor. I'm telling you what's gonna happen. Okay? I have 15 minutes to go get my son. He's getting dropped off at the bus stop at 4:30. Nicholas, I'm gonna open the door. You're gonna undo your seatbelt for you. Okay? You're an adult. I want you to kind of go with the program here. I don't want to have to do this. What is the probable cause for a search? Unlock the door for me. What's the probable cause for a search, sir? Nicholas, unlock the car. What is the probable cause for a search?
Before a supervisor arrives, the officer decides to search by force.
This doesn't need to happen, man. It doesn't need to happen. You guys don't need to search me. I'm about to go pick my son. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'm a tax-paying citizen. I'm not on paperwork or parole. I'm not doing anything wrong. Go ahead. Break your window. Unlock the car. Get in now. Undo your seatbelt. You guys just broke my. You guys just put your left hand behind your back. You guys just broke my window and put your right hand behind your back. You guys just.
Hoskins was handcuffed and detained. After searching his car, police gave him a ticket for resisting arrest.
So that's the latest. The reason, rather, that that there was a call for a protest. So it's interesting. Nobody has shown up except for the police. We do have two officers pretty much at every entrance. We have one in the car over here. At this entrance, we have the walk-in. If you're trying to walk in, they're up here standing at the entrance. But I don't see any protesters. They are aware that they're supposed to come, obviously, so I will stand by for a little while. And for the Facebook users, this live stream is pretty much one of the last on the group. Look down the group down a little bit and you'll see let's move to a page. So join that page or follow that page, however it works on Facebook, because groups aren't allowed to stream live anymore using apps for some reason. So I use an app and I'll need a multi-stream. So we'll be moving to a page for all the local stuff. Right now we're in San Diego. This was a call for protest regarding the constant harassment of black and brown people in San Diego. Caught on film on multiple occasions and promised to be fixed as many times, and still. There is a new chief of police here, and he seemed to have dripped right out of that thin blue line, so it doesn't really matter. So at this point, rather than a cop watch of a protest, I'll do my first audit. I'm not an auditor, but if I was ever going to audit anything, it would be a police station. So here we are. I will go deeper in, considering they're on high alert, and which is when they usually feel it's okay to violate people's civil rights. Oh, you're in Fresno. Chief of Police is leaving soon. I'm going to catch up on some of these messages. That's interesting. DJ Plas. I used to live in Fresno, so I have a great interest in what goes on there. If you are going to cop watch or anybody know that's cop watching, please have them get in touch with me, because I do come through on a regular basis. And I actually grew up with a couple of the officers there, and yeah, it'd be interesting to assist in that. Lenny, always good to see you. I appreciate you. Beach camp. You think they went out to Murphy Canyon? Possibly. But it said HQ, so. But there is a tactic of having them show up and then not, and then show up when they don't. And there is that tactic. And this may be it. So I'm not privy to any of that right now, but I just saw the post and figured I'd offer a camera or three. You got to see this setup. There's not just one camera here by any means. Let me show you. Hold on. I'll take a picture with my phone so you can see. So you can see what I see. There we go. I call that I don't call it, they made me call it the Intimidator. I show up with this and they are thoroughly intimidated. It's got 4 cameras on it, 3 facing them, 1 facing me. It has built-on power backup, 2 floodlights, 2 shotgun mics. The bottom camera is, of course, the Canon digital high def. The other phone, both phones are Wi-Fi and streaming live. And then the camera coming back at me is a body cam to watch my face and watch my back, I guess. And then of course I'm wearing one too. I got a body cam facing out. So I'm over cameraed, but I'm also the guy that had 4 cameras in his hand when the sheriff slapped him, the sergeant. And because I closed my phone and locked it, that was the only video. No body cam, none of my other cameras, the videos were gone. I just had a locked phone. You can look that case up. So, anyway, now I film with many, many different media at the same time and try to go live every time because, you know, if they take me down, I would like somebody to call 911, you know, call them and tell them what you saw them do. Anyway, there are no protesters here that I can see, that they can see, because they've been waiting for them. So I may end this stream a little early. I will do an audit on my way out, see if I'm allowed to walk through the parking lot to where I parked my car, or if I'm forced to do something else, go to jail or get beat or something. You guys are expecting a protest today, aren't you?
Some sort of demonstration.
Yeah. Yeah, so we got confirmation. The brass will be unhappy that they spent a lot of money for a hoax demonstration. But like I said, there's history of a tactic, utilizing that kind of a tactic. Plan something.
Oh, no, I don't know. Outside. Might be showing up. I know.
Construction guy from across the street was wondering if it was going to be like last week. If it was, he would send his guys home early. So now the police department is not being protested today. At least not yet. It is 1 o'clock, isn't it? Somebody in the chat, let me know what time it is. I can't see a clock from where I'm at.
They're on time.
I want everybody to know when my brown ass walks a dog without a leash. Never mind. Shit. I just got chastised for that, right? Whatever. Anybody want to mark that spot? I'll mark that spot as evidence of white privilege. Because if my brown ass were to walk by that cop without a dog with a leash, with a dog without a leash, don't you know? Come on. That's why the whole jaywalking law was repealed. That's exactly why. Selective. That's why RIPA was created. For those of you that aren't in California, RIPA is a mandatory bylaw reporting mechanism by which every stop that law enforcement does in California, they have to report make a long list of data report points. Race, age, sexual orientation, or perceived. These are all perceived. And mental capacity, which is all, again, perceived. And then that data has been compiled now for a couple of years. I did attend the last RIPA meeting, which was a couple of days ago. It was Monday. It was a 5-hour meeting. But it went over law enforcement reporting data for youth primarily. And it was some staggering information, such as 82% of all use of force conducted on youth by law enforcement statewide, 82% of it is initiated by the law enforcement officer. 82%. So they're not responding to somebody doing something. They're the ones doing something to somebody. I know that that's not a surprise to most. But that data goes on to say that out of 100% of the people that get hands-on, get use of force by law enforcement in California, 50% of all youth 18 and under that receive hands-on by law enforcement are black in California. 50%. 50 in a state that has maybe 13. So, how are you, sir? So we have a fellow cop watchers have arrived. So yeah, that RIPA data goes on and on and on, and it is scathing. That's exactly why the law was created. It was because we knew in the street what was going on, and now we know it on a database. Now we know it, how it can be tangibly corrected by laws of average, percentages. So, anyway, that is a good reason why these protests have been called. I know one of the people involved in the protests in the past has been Tasha Williamson, and normally when she calls one, I don't think she did call this one, I think she may have just forwarded it, but when she calls one, it isn't for one day. It is repetitive. It's weekly until change comes, and she's good at making that happen. So Tasha Williamson has run for mayor of San Diego. She was the first and only so far black female to run for mayor. She did lose that, but to the current mayor, Mr. Todd Gloria, who has just recently redlined virtually all social equity and an enormous amount of social services from the budget in order to maintain a developer's type status quo in San Diego. And he's done that. As you look at the numbers, it's funny that there are some projects that he's been involved in, or his friends are, that didn't make the cut. They didn't get cut. They stayed healthy and and funded. So that is politics. That is where we're at in San Diego. The new chief of police has been somewhat quiet. You know, all chiefs say that they're going to change something. Still seek the change they talk about. So that's why we're here. I don't see anybody showing up today. So I think we'll do a.
Wait a minute. When you're done commentary, just keep it live. I want to get my word out about the lawsuit.
Sure. We do have another cop watcher, local cop watcher that has been attacked by law enforcement, SDPD specifically. And he has a lawsuit with them now. I'm going to give him a couple of minutes.
Little Scotty is up in the whatever.
Here he is.
Scotty Wall.
Go ahead and introduce yourself, man, and your channel.
I'm Ed Byer. I'm the beach cam. And I appreciate this guy coming out here. That's how I found out. I got the alert. And whether or not the protest is good that he came out here, it was a good initiative on his own, and decided to document this. So yeah, I wanted to get the word out. Got a federal lawsuit going against the San Diego Police Department. It was filed last month, and it's against the police department in the city of San Diego, Chief Wall, and Gene Iredale. Gene Iredale is my attorney, and he's a bulldog. But yeah, we need more of this down here. I know you guys, he does a lot up in ID, but and with the sheriffs, but we need more people to come down and talk about these guys. I understand he was doing a little streaming about Chief Wall. Well, he's mostly a paper pusher. He's never really been out in the field. He was a sergeant down in Western. He kind of went up to the ranks. He was a captain at Northern before he became chief, but he's mostly paper pushing. He was on all these associations, did a lot with the Homeland Security, and he was the public information officer for 3 years, which is a job that a lieutenant has to do in order to get his captain's bars. It's one of 4 required jobs, and he was one of them, and he never, I wouldn't say never, but he put up the illusion he wanted a good relationship with people that do the public information and the media relations. They do a 3-year hitch, and it's only a path to getting his captain's bars. So that'll tell you exactly the emphasis they have on public and media relations. And also, the San Diego Police Department issues government-issued press credentials. Don't use them. Don't do them. You don't need them. There's no law that says you need to have them. The only problem is that the media in this town, they're so scared they're going to lose these. This is mine. And also the National Press Photographers Association. You don't need government-issued press credentials. You got to turn the camera a little more this way, buddy, so you can get it all. So yeah, we just need more people to man up and expose these guys. You know, the chief put out a big press release about how he's going to change the organizational chart of this of the police department. I guess less fat on top, all the assistant chiefs, and more mid-range. I think they're going to call them commanders, kind of in the middle of the food chain of the organization. But we'll see. But he's not going to cut the budget. The city's not going to cut the budget. In fact, they increased it. So if the budget gets cut, the police department will be the end of civilization as we know it. So, and the same, I can also make the joke, same thing with football. You cut the football budget in any organization, that's like the end of the world. But it's basically the same thing, They're just keep dumping money on all the toys. Glad he's here. He's the only one that showed up. comment saying, hey, because in your flyer it said Special Investigation Unit or Special Operations Unit. Well, I believe, and if this gentleman wants to correct me, they're all headquartered over at Murphy Canyon.
Yeah.
That's where they are.
Yeah.
But, so maybe I thought maybe they went up there.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
That wasn't my flyer. It was one of the organizers. I just kind of
I
used
appreciate it. Though. You did show up. I'm just saying that's where those groups, all the alphabets, most of the alphabet groups are over in that building. They took it over from the Chargers because it's a city-owned building. So. Anyway, glad he's here. But yeah, lawsuit, federal. If anybody wants more information, you can contact me at my the beach cam at yahoo.com. It's an open public knowledge email. And watch my YouTube page, The Beach Cam. And I'm also on the Newsbreak app. That's an app where this app uses sources from different news organizations to put out over the internet. So it's called a Newsbreak. But yeah, this guy's doing great work. Like his setup. The Intimidator, as
the
called
Intimidator.
I love it. More cameras, the better.
I didn't name it that. They did. They just because I hit the scene and boy, they become so intimidated.
The problem with the problem isn't so much the attitude of these guys; it's the encryption of the radios.
Oh yeah, it goes on and on. The encryption of the radios is the problem. It's part of it. It's the encryption of everything. You know, they don't want.
The thing is, nobody wants to be the first through the door to do the lawsuit to try to undo it. Because when radios and were invented, it was part of the public. There's a provision in the law that says it's for the public good. It's part of the public airwaves. But the DOJ has gotten around it somehow. It's not so much the locals; they're just following what the Department of Justice has implemented. So even fire channels now are encrypted, which is it's insane.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I know the legislation keeps coming up, and it seemed to be, holding wind until they squashed it in appropriation, or not in appropriations.
Well, here's the irony. Our mayor, I have no left, right leaning. I don't care who's the mayor, as long as they do a good job. I have my preferences. When he was a state representative, he was putting forth a bill that allowed all the media organizations, bona fide media organizations, to get radios with the encrypted channels on them so they could do their jobs. But because he was such an egomaniac, he didn't want to be a representative for the many. He's a state representative, represents more people than a mayor, but he was such an ego guy that he wanted to be the mayor of the town that legislation never got started. He actually put the bill up. It had a name and a number and everything, but it just was like in the beginning stages. It's like the raw dough of a bread when you're making bread. It's a good analogy. But when he became mayor, it never went anywhere, and he didn't go to somebody and say, hey man, take up this cause. But he was actually going to legislate that, hey, if you're going to encrypt these radios, you've got to give copies of these radios to these media organizations so they can still do their job. So that's the irony of it. But now when he's in town and he won't do anything on that end here, now that he's in charge of this department, which is kind of a weird thing. But yeah, he was
when he's able to do it himself.
Yeah, he could put it in right now. But again, he wanted to be mayor of a town versus representing the many as a California state representative, whatever his title is.
I'm going to check the other side of the station, and if there's nothing else going on, then I might head back to.
You gonna walk through the parking lot?
Nah, I'm going to do the roundabout. It does have a sign of no pedestrian access, and I'm not trying to mess with them right this minute. I've got a existing lawsuit that I've got to deal with. So. I apologize for the lack of action. It was not due to lack of effort. You guys stay tuned. I'll keep shooting as I go in front and walk in the areas that I'm allowed to, just to make sure my rights are still accept it even though they don't like me being there. For people still on the YouTube, I'm going to play this video one more time so you know the reason that people, that this was originally called.
Two months after Hoskins left prison behind, police stopped his cousin minutes after he picked Hoskins up from work. His cousin, who is on parole, is the man you see in handcuffs, but neither were charged with anything. Weeks later, Hoskins says police stopped him for a taped-up taillight. He says officers asked to search his car, but he said no, and they let him go.
Okay, I'm recording you, son.
This past March, San Diego police stopped Hoskins a third time. The officer told him his window tint was too dark, though didn't write him up a ticket. Instead, the officer asked him about where he lived, if he had a job, his plans for the rest of the day, his phone number, social security number, and pointed out a speaker looked expensive. But it's what happened during this traffic stop just last month that drove Hoskins to speak out.
Where are you coming from? I just came from the park. I'm about to go pick my son up from school.
This time, the officer said he didn't come to a full stop at a stop sign.
All right, go ahead and undo your seatbelt for me. I'm gonna have you get out. Just make sure there's no weapons. I'm not about to get out the car. I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. Okay, you're gonna take your seatbelt off. I'm gonna put your wallet in the center console. You guys are gonna have my ID back, and you guys will call your supervisor. No, I'm telling you what's gonna happen. Okay, I have 15 minutes to go get my son. He's getting dropped off at the bus stop at 4:30. Nicholas, I'm gonna open the door. You're gonna undo your seatbelt for you. Okay? You're an adult. I want you to kind of go with the program here. I don't want to have to. What is the probable cause for a search? Unlock the door for me. What's the probable cause for a search? Nicholas, unlock the car. What is the probable cause for a search?
Before a supervisor arrives, the officer decides to search by force.
This doesn't need to happen, man.
There's no
it doesn't
law
need to happen. You guys don't need to search me. I'm about to go pick my son. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'm a taxpaying citizen. I'm not on paperwork or parole. I'm not doing anything wrong.
I'm working on it, man. I'm working on it. I still
here.
When you say
What? There's no law. Show me the law. Okay, what is the law?
Get it now. You guys just broke. You guys just put your left hand behind your back. You guys just broke my window and slide it in behind your back.
Hoskins was handcuffed and detained. After searching his car, police gave him a ticket for resisting arrest.
So when they found out that I had press cards,
yeah, they just took the pass away.
That's how I got all my stuff back the next day.
Well, all you have to do is call the ACLU or any of those other groups, and they'll come and they'll get it.
Right, but they knew that. So
they didn't know that. They know that.
The sheriff.
This was the sheriff. Well, the sheriff don't follow no rules.
Yeah, I'm aware.
They're
But
worse. They're the worst than these guys.
I am aware of what I deal with.
I've been doing this since in the 80s, man. I used to be a stringer. Yeah. I used to do what all these guys that are doing now, what they're doing now, but I use videotape. That's how old I am.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I'm aware of how far back you
go. But this, you're just enabling. It's like an alcoholic. Oh, here, have another beer, dude.
Yes,
there are more groups, more entities getting out of the credential business than there are that have it now.
I understand that, but I am a fan of covering myself in every law I can.
No, I understand.
And I'm not white, man, so I need every single ounce of legal on my side, of legalities on my side.
As soon as they impounded it, man, they got the hotline numbers that are manned 24 hours, and you say, hey, I'm a journalist. It doesn't matter what passes you wear. And you just say, hey. And because that's what happened to me, and they wrote me a letter, and they made a phone call, and I had to go downstairs, down there, to go get it. And they knew where they're wrong, and they haven't done it since.
I still have the evidence tag taped to my tripod. So
yeah, exactly.
Forever now.
But the problem is that the media is allowing this to happen, and more people, because they think they can't do their job without it.
Right.
The only thing it gets you, actually, gets you anything, but I flashed this one, is you don't have to go through the x-ray machine or the thing when you go to City Hall.
Yeah.
You still do when you go to court. because they don't care. But that's it. The only thing that I'm in for of is parking plaque. They have the right to do that because that's their job about cars, because they do A and B and C permits for neighborhoods. So that's within their realm of, yes, we are allowed to do that. But that's it. These things, like Riverside County used to have press credentials, but they stopped doing it because one secretary, I did a story on it about 5 years ago, said, why are we doing this? Because they had a stack of applications that were this big.
Hey, you guys, I'm going to cut this out. SMO San Diego. Disrupt Media, thanks. Appreciate you. And Crofty, always. I mean, without you, I don't even know if I'd do this. I am going to be going live a little bit more often soon, and have a couple of surprises coming up with regard to this craft reporting that we work on so hard. Well, coming to you from San Diego, police headquarters, a no-show protest that was announced. The PD did show up. They were manning all doors, and I'm sure had lots of extra, manpower on standby. But it didn't manifest. It's supposed to be a weekly thing. I might try to come out again next week if I'm able, and if not, then the week after. Until next time, I appreciate each and every one of you. Folks on Facebook, if you would, follow the new page that was created. The group is going bye-bye. Can't live stream on that anymore through live stream apps. So, you guys have a great day. One love.
Good job, dude. No, man, I appreciate you, admire you for doing this, man. Bringing out your own stuff and just doing it even though nobody's here.
Mm-hmm. Always film the police.
Well, I've been the lone wolf on this department for so long. Even that